Right, what I'm going to be making today is a cotton reel spool holder for my wife, because she's asked me to knock one up for her. So what I'm going to be using is this nice long thin piece of beech. She wants 3 spools wide by 10 spools, and she wants a couple of them. So this is why I've got this nice long piece. I can do it all out the same bit, which will give a bit of consistency and also a little less work for me, which is always preferable. Each spool is 21 millimeters diameter, and I need to make sure that I can get 3 along here. Now what I want is roughly a 3 millimeter gap between each spool to allow easy access, and so you can take them off and on. But also it's going to be slightly over the edges, so the wood won't actually on the outside, the cotton will be slightly over the side. So what I've got here is a 70 millimeter wide piece of beech, 70 millimeters. What I'm going to do, I'm going to mark it out and find the centre line first, and then from there I'm going to work out what I'm going to do. So 70 millimeters across, that's 35 millimeters centre line. Just going to join those lines together. Now because they're 21 and I want it going slightly over the side, I'm going to measure now 25 millimeters from the centre line on both sides. And same again, once I've done this, I'm going to line up the straight edge and draw those lines across. I'm not obviously worried about marking up the wood, because that will always come off with the sanding at the end. Happy days. Now we said about 3 millimeter gap, so what I need is 10 drill holes per line, so I'm going to fix the doweling. Now I checked out the depth of the cotton reels, and the width of the hole in the middle is 8 millimeters, well slightly over, so I'm going to use 8 millimeter doweling. So the width, how long do I need before I cut? Let's have a look here. It's going to be 21 millimeters times by 10, so we've got 210 millimeters, but that's not making any spaces yet. So spaces wise, we'll have 9 spaces in the middle, 1 either end, so it'll be 11. So we'll go for 11 times 3, that's 33 millimeters extra on top of that, so that's 243 millimeters per piece of beech. So let's mark that out. Just double check this is a square end. That'd be embarrassing if it's not. Yep, we've got a square end. Happy with that. So 22, 4, 3. Also, I'm going to cut to that line. Please. Okay, well then, let's get this on the bandsaw, cut that through, and go from there. in the spirit of all things right and good in this world, the belt has decided to break up a bandsaw. So going back to old school, got the 10 saw out. Right, now I've cut that off, what I'm going to do is mark it up for the 10 points along each line where I'm going to be drilling for the doweling. So this is 242. Okay, I've lost a millimetre. 242. So okay, within tolerance. Happy with that. So we know that it's going to be covered over 210 if it had 0 gaps. And we want a gap of 3 mil at each edge. Just as a reminder, this isn't a gap from the hole that we're drilling, this is a gap from the edge of the cotton reel. Each cotton reel, as we've already said, is 21 wide, which means the centre point is 10.5 millimetres. So in from this edge, I'm going to make a mark at the 10.5 millimetre point. I'm going to do that on each line. Okay, happy with that. Now, in theory, if I mark off from the point that I just made, 24 millimetres across, I should end up with the right size gap, less 1 millimetre, at the other end. Let's see if that works out. Well, then, now what I've done, now that I've got all these marks in place, I'm going to drill a small little pilot hole with a 2 mil drill bit, and then I'm going to go in with an 8 mil bit after that. I'm not going to go all the way down, I'm just going to give it a little point so that will be able to locate the tip of the 8 mil drill bit. Okay, now I've got the locations all drilled in. This wood is 15 millimeters deep. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill in 1 centimeter or 10 millimeters. How I'm going to do that then is by using the little guide that I made in a previous video to allow me to drill 90-degree angle. Obviously, if you've got a drill press or a pulley drill, that is the ideal thing to use, but if not, you can make a simple jig like this to allow yourself to drill perpendicular to the substrate. Now then, to make sure that we drill only 10 millimeters, what we're going to have to do is mark off the drill bit. Okay, so what we're going to do first is place a drill bit along to the edge, and you're going to move it up to the point where you want it to go, and you're going to tape up the back end. I'll show you now. want it to go down. I'm going to mark up the drill bit, no deeper than that. In this case, I'm going to have to just release the drill bit on this one so I can wrap it up properly. Happy days. Now it's time to drill all the bits that I need. Line yourself up with your jig. Going down as far as you need to without actually going through to the other end. And using that jig and the marking, you should, in theory, be able to drill straight holes perpendicular to the wood to the depth of your choice. Okay, so I've got a load of downings now, and let's make sure that they fit. Okay, they fit, they're nice firm fit in there, that's good. Obviously we're not just going to stick them in, we're going to have to glue them in. Fantastic. So, little drop of glue into each hole. Now I'm going to tap them down.